When I'm shopping for a new bike, sometimes I want to know all the specs and stats that sometimes the manufacturers don't list, so we'll run down all the details of this HeyBike City Run. So it's got a 500 watt continuous hub motor. Now the manufacturers sometimes will call that a 1000 watt peak motor, but the number you're really concerned with here is a 500 watt motor. Although I will say that compared to other e-bikes I have with 500 watt motors, this one does feel a little bit stronger, so I definitely don't think that'll be a limiting factor for you. And as far as the rest of the drivetrain, you get 7 gears and that Shimano derailleur, so it really shifts nice around town. One question I typically want to know when shopping for an e-bike is how much does the bike weigh, and is that with or without the battery? So that's a question we're going to answer today. But just loading this bike on and off my bike rack, what I noticed is when the battery is removed, this bike feels significantly lighter than my other e-bikes. So that's a big win if you have to carry this upstairs or just for loading it on and off the bike rack. I use this high quality digital scale to weigh my e-bikes, and with the rear basket installed, no front basket, and the battery removed, this bike comes in just under 58 pounds. And the high capacity battery adds 11 pounds, 6 ounces. Another main criteria I look at when shopping for a new e-bike is how are the brakes. And with this model, you get not only large rotors, they're 200 millimeter rotors, but it's also a hydraulic braking system. So very high quality brakes, and what I noticed in practical use, they're nice and quiet. The hydraulic suspension forks are lockable and adjustable, so you can change the dampening to your liking. Plus, there's an adaptive headlight. If your automatic setting is selected, this will come on and off depending on the lighting conditions. The throttle is a thumb lever style. That's really easy to access. There's 5 levels of assist you can scroll through, and press the M button to cycle between the trip odometer and the standard odometer. You can also run this bike with an app, but that's totally optional. And I've been super impressed with the high quality components on this bike, from the hydraulic brake levers to the grips that actually lock with Allen bolts, so you're not going to get any twisting on the bars. One thing that may confuse you initially is this plus button. If you long press the plus button, it has a headlight icon, but that doesn't actually turn on the headlight. It actually just increases the brightness of the display. It gives you a little backlight there. So on or off with that button on the long press. The headlight button is actually here. So I think that's a little more convenient. Quickly turn that on or off as needed. And why don't more bikes come with this? A nice horn. This bike's also got a great feature for a city bike: turn signals. Wire management has been really well thought out, and the cables actually pass through the frame of the bike. The cup holder is perhaps not ideally situated for a step-through frame, so I might pull that off, but otherwise there's just very few shortcomings to this model. And one thing I absolutely love to see on this bike is the adjustable stem that'll let you control both the height and the reach of your handlebars. And even the saddle, I noticed, offers a couple inches of forward and backward adjustment to get your reach just right. Minimum saddle height is 32 inches, and the maximum height is over 38 inches, so it'll really accommodate a lot of riders. And sometimes the things that matter most to me are the simple things, like how easy the seat post is to adjust. And I noticed that the clamping force on this is much lighter than other models, yet it really locks in securely. And just a quick note, if you plan to haul your step-through bike on a car-mounted rack, you'll want to pick up a top tube adapter, but luckily we tried several different brands and they all seem to work just fine. Let's talk for a second about the battery. There's a charging port here if you'd like to charge the battery while it's still installed in the bike. The battery is locked into the bike with a key, but you don't need the key to operate the bike. And that 4 ampere hour charger will bring the battery up to full capacity in just 3 to 4 hours. That's almost twice as fast as my other e-bike, so this will give you a range of about 40 to 50 miles, depending on what level of assist you choose. So hopefully that answered a question or two that you have on this model, but I can definitely recommend the HeyBike City Run. All right, I guess it's time to go down to the river.